Hello, welcome to the Product Design Fellowship Cohort 2, Reflection Journal, Month 1. Today, we are in conversation with our Cohort 2 fellows and the mentors who have been involved so far, reflecting upon what went down in the first month of the fellowship. So let's go. What has your experience with the cohort been like so far?
It's been a good experience.
I was waiting for the cohort. I applied for the cohort 4 months before the course.
One during the first call we had with Akshay, I think Shekhar introduced this icebreaker. That's when we got to know the team members.
Cohort 2 was very different from Cohort 1 in a lot of ways. In fact, every few months you see like almost a seismic change in the way people look at design, in what people already know about design.
When I was mentoring my first team, coincidentally, they were working on a project which was very similar to when I was back at college, and realizing how dated maybe my content was, and feeling that I needed to upskill and learn a little bit more so I could be actually a more valuable mentor for teams working on the capstone project.
I had spoken to a few people from the previous cohort, and the way they basically had 2 projects throughout their cohort, and we have weekly projects, which I felt was very cool. It's better to work on chote projects than a huge project combined together, because we have a timeline in our head.
And I think I have learned a lot.
The learning and the unlearning experience I'm having throughout the cohort.
It's put me in a direction where I'm more thinking throughout the day about the problems that need to be solved in the week.
Before we even taught anybody anything, just to sort of benchmark where people stood and for them to sort of form an appreciation for what they were about to be taught. We gave them an exercise and we just asked them to follow whatever methods they are already familiar with and produce something in the most commonsensical way they would.
I think a lot of the points he mentioned did change the entire process of how we approach the project. And that's why I feel that when we worked on the same project in the second week, it ended up becoming quite better because of a lot of the points about the design process which he spoke about in the first week, and a lot of the points that he gave us as feedback.
So now they're really looking forward to, they know what to expect, they know what their own personal learning outcome is going to be in each of those upcoming modules.
I have not had prompts that are so well thought out or that challenge me so much.
Our mentors gave very specific, detailed feedback, which I can use across my design and non-design presentations. Things like how to create an arc when you're giving a presentation, how to use as much visual aid as you can and not fill it with text. Very basic stuff, but yeah, it's the simple stuff that really matters in the end. So.
How do you feel about the mentors at Ownpath?
I've liked both the mentors as of now, even the full-time onboard mentor, Kenneth. They're really passionate about, teaching the subject and, interacting with the students.
I liked him because he was very non-intimidating in terms of giving feedback, and all of the mentors are very friendly and up for a chat whenever needed.
I've been always trying to apply what I felt what a mentor should do, right? Like there are different terminologies. You've got coaches, you've got mentors, you've got managers. And for me, a mentor is someone who can just show me a direction, not actually make the decision for me.
I think Akshay, because he treats us like students.
The way he explains the thing, the way he gave the feedback, each one of us, he took almost around 15 to 20 minutes and a very deep feedback.
I'm really excited for a lot of people and to see what a lot of these mentors talk to us about, what they'd be like, what they would think about my ideas, and get validated by them. So I'm really excited for a lot of mentors here.
What stood out at the cohort in the first month?
The first class with Shivani started on my birthday. It was quite memorable for me.
I really like the last Shivani's class, psychology.
Shivani Gupta.
I have never read psychology in this depth.
So deep that I'm still getting a hang of it.
We do research on the very upper layer. I'm talking about Airbnb.
She explained a lot of things with her examples of projects that she's done in real life.
She made it very interactive.
It was pretty new.
The prep had a lot to do with breaking down these really high-strung concepts like emotion and feeling and action tendencies and behavior and drivers and things like that we kind of deal with on a day-to-day basis, even in our personal lives. Like, you don't have to be a behavioral scientist to know that emotions play a role in your decisions. But I think taking that idea and bringing it into something that was applicable for this cohort.
I love the way she talks. I love the way how she interprets things. And whenever I ask her, she's genuinely interested to tell you about her experiences that she's had. And she really takes her time answering things.
So when she was talking, it felt very like a normal person is talking to me, and not as a mentor, as a friend. She's just explaining things.
Having done your education in India, you can literally count the number of teachers who actually put in that much effort before the class, share with you pre-reads, and then in the class also they have 4 sets of presentations ready for you.
Before the class started, she sent us a lot of resources and they were so much fun. There were some of them which were academic papers, which were kind of hard to get through.
I didn't know there was so much academic material available for UX.
But then there were some of them which were so cool. You just go to a website and they make you play games and they teach you game theory. And I'm like, wow.
So I think the idea was really just to give them as many senses as possible and as many options to be like, hey, if you feel like this is too heavy for you, start with this, and then find a more approachable way to cope with this.
I wish you could be my mentor forever.
How have you evolved as a designer so far?
I've started to notice certain things that maybe Akshay said or Shivani said in the products that we use every day. Observation has gone up by a lot.
I feel that I've become more conscious about my process recently, because there's a lot of things that we've been taught, even in a small span of time. I sort of have started to apply them when I'm working outside the cohort as well. So I think that's very cool.
First week we ended up with a solution which got a lot of negative feedback, but we went back to our users. We changed our entire approach.
Going through the process of being anxious for 3 days, not figuring out what exactly the problem is, and going back and forth. Well, that is something I got a bit comfortable with now. Now that I understand it is going to be part of the process, you might not figure it out.
I think going deeper with one user, focusing on this problem, getting more meaningful insights from them, and going back to the user again and again, I think that's something that maybe I wouldn't have applied earlier on. I think the solution at the end of the day was much more refined.
After the masterclass with Shivani, I got to know that personas have this kind of disadvantage. You can segment the users on the basis of some parameters. On learning these kind of things makes changes in my thinking, that we can do all these things in a different way as well.
I've tried to incorporate in my process that I'll do 360 research rather than going for specific targets.
We work in teams, so how other people are working, knowing their design processes, how they go through the briefings, that is a main learning.
We absorb so much of data and information with all the user interviews that we do, all the research that we do online. Just how do you use mental models to make sense of all of the data that you have? Bucketing things into emotions and exposures and impacts and trigger points, and just so many frameworks that across design and non-design are going to help me so much with just approaching a problem and how to synthesize information.
What has your experience been like with the other fellows?
I genuinely struggle with collaborating with people. That's not something I have ever found myself to enjoy.
Maybe I'm not good at team working, but I don't know. Probably because I don't know what the other person's good at, what they're going to take care of, what their abilities are.
However, the last time I worked with someone, which was, Karan, it was really good and it was very fruitful.
I learned so much from Santrupti just in terms of how to operate Figma. It was amazing.
I enjoyed brainstorming with him as well, because ideas mutate when you are with another person who's ready to bounce off of you, right?
Our first assignment was to design solutions for anger management, and that required us to do user interviews. So the first interview Santrupti took, and just watching her be extremely sensitive and still being firm with the questions she wanted to ask. And that whole experience of watching users slowly giving out their stories and talking about like really vulnerable topics, like that was a great experience for me.
I'm an independent product designer and I've always been a single, like the only designer in the team sort of a person. So it felt nice to collaborate and work with other people.
I've mostly interacted with Shruti and Sanket in the last 2-3 weeks. I consider them as my friends.
Pushpita is from the fashion designer background and I'm from the UX designer background as well as the tech background. So whenever we start thinking and we have started brainstorming session, we have lots and lots of ideas.
I learned a lot from Apurva, my teammate. She told me a lot of things which I did not know. We are like close right now. Like we talk regularly.
I spoke to Junaid and Apurva yesterday. They're my team for this week. And immediately we realized how differently we've interpreted the course and the assignment. And now we have to bring ourselves to the same page.
But yeah, in the last process, I felt like we connected along really well, me, Apurva and Ria. So not just, working on it, but also chilling and having fun. So yeah, it's important that, you have a good interaction with your teammates, because if you don't have it in tough situations, you're probably going to be like, forget it.
People are really nice and they're really interested to help you.
Till the 10th standard, I was into Telugu medium school and coming back to English medium. Learning things and learning skills in English, communicating in English was really hard for me. I felt a bit overwhelmed, like, will I be able to do it or not? Then I really got confidence from the cohort members. Like, I said the same thing with them and they're really okay with it.
If you're surrounded by the right people, then, you can make things happen. It happens so easily and we coordinated and we're empathetic to each other.
Really, it's still quite early to connect with everybody, all the fellows in the team, as well as the masters. So I'm hoping in the coming few weeks we'll be closer than what we are right now.
Don't forget to show us your support by pressing on the like button, commenting on the video, sharing this with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more videos like these. See you!